After 4 years of no Black Ops games, Black Ops 6 finally came in to show us and remind us that Call of Duty still had something in it, still had passion, it still had life, and it wasn't taken over by the greedy sense of Activision and the not so great multiplayer that MW2 and MW3 provided, alongside campaigns that felt flat, and somehow this still transcended into what Black Ops 6 would soon come to be. Black Ops 6 and its beta released in around August 30th and fell into the first few days of September last year, and the hype around it was phenomenal. I mean, it was everyone who was on board. You had streamers, you had casual players, you had competitive players, all hyped, all ready to play this game. And with the Call of Duty Next, a few months prior, there was so much hype around this game. So many people that were excited to finally play a Call of Duty that they could play with their friends again. A Call of Duty that was fixed of the things that, took over MW2 and MW3 and made it what it was. But that hype eventually, of course, as it usually did, transcended into something that would fall right on its face. What many of these games have struggled with over the past few years was innovation. I mean, you had the movement that felt so stale over the past few years since it was boots on the ground, and people were always going back and forth saying that we should have extra movement again, we should have something that didn't feel so, bland. Call of Duty was supposed to be an arcade shooter and it needed to be fast-paced. And so Treyarch stepped up and they brought Omni movement, something that changed the game forever and hopefully will be continuously added into further Call of Duties from here on out. Innovation was one of the biggest things that kept this game alive for so long, that kept the hype for it so popular. And Omni movement was a good thing. And as some might disagree, that it brought a whole new level of sweating to the game. Competitive was turned on its head because people like Shotzi and all these other competitive players that really knew how to exploit the movement. It wasn't fun. But even casuals got to learn it and have fun with it, me being one of those people. I didn't play that much competitive prior to Call of Duty Black Ops 6, but I stepped into a lot of ranked play, and then we have the whole issue of cheaters in the game, and that's kind of what really ruined it for a lot of people that wanted to play the game a lot more than just the casual players. And cheating and hacking has been a problem in Call of Duty for years now, and it's been the center point for a lot of people who have complained about the game, but it's something that I fear will never be fixed. And it's an internal issue. It's a player issue. It's not something that the company themselves can do, because if there's a will, there's a way, and that's how cheaters will always get through. But aside from the innovation to Omni movement, there was so much more that this game offered. The zombie storyline was, people were so ready, so excited to see what was going to happen next, since the last time we had played was Black Ops Cold War, and MW3 and its Warzone zombies essentially was terrible. There was no proper story that connected to the actual Treyarch storyline that they had built over the years. And now we move into the core part of the game. We have multiplayer, zombies, and campaign. And right out the gate, I'm gonna be completely honest, this campaign, at its best, was mediocre. I love the characters in it. Case was a cool character, but as many people had agreed, it was just a rehash of Cold War story with the sleeper agent, with Bell, and essentially Case being the exact replica of Bell, just in a different format, and Adler being the guy who kind of knew all along, but didn't want to say anything. And thankfully he didn't betray us this time, but we had the core characters such as Woods and Adler, the Black Ops guys, who really brought this story together, that kept people interested in the story. I mean, you had those badass moments with the motorcycle ride in the beginning, and the emergence mission where you're tripping balls essentially, but it was so closely compared to what Cold War was that it didn't feel like a brand new story. It felt like the same story, just retold in a different format. And Woods being in a wheelchair half the time, because this takes place after Black Ops 2's Panama missions, it just felt like we were missing Black Ops. It was just like a CIA story that we got to see, with Jane Harrell being almost like the center character, when at the beginning she really wasn't. She was just a side character, but it focused so solely on her towards the end of the game and Case and their relationship, that it didn't provide the love and creativeness that I know Treyarch has for these Black Ops games. And they can be mind-bending and stuff like that, because that is Black Ops, but with that one mission was the only thing that really encapsulated what Black Ops trippy missions stood for, and everything else just felt so bland. It felt like it was just the same script but redone in a different format. And now we get into the multiplayer that, I'll be completely honest, was so fun. It was amazing. I remember playing every single night with my buddies for the first 4 to 5 months of the game being out, grinding Dark Matter, grinding Prestige Master, and this was the first time in any Call of Duty that I had gone for those achievements. I had gone for the Mastery Camo, I had gone for the Prestige Master, and it gave me something to do. And their inclusion of Classical Prestige in this game really kept it alive for as long as it did. You know, people eventually gave up, I want to say halfway in between, on Dark Matter, on Prestige Master, but it was easier to get than a lot of the previous Call of Duty games, and I felt that made it a lot nicer for people that wanted to do it for the first time, such as myself and people that I knew. But more than anything else, this game struggled with its diversity. I mean, you had the guns that all felt the same. You had the guns that were just remastered from previous Call of Duties alongside the maps that they would release. You know, they would have 1 or 2 new maps in a season update and then just redone maps from previous Call of Duties. And there was nothing that was different, that felt different besides the movement. And Omni movement only got you so far when the guns that you were using were the same guns you've been using for the past, 5, 6, 7 years. You've had the meta weapons such as the ASM-1, the Jackal in this game, the M4, the MP5, the ASM-1. There's so many things that have been meta in Call of Duties, but if you weren't using the meta guns in Black Ops 6, it was damn near impossible to win a gunfight. 99% of the time, if you weren't using the Jackal at close range or the laser beam of an aims at a long range gunfight, you were going to lose. And it made pub matches not fun at all because everyone was using the same thing, and if you weren't, you were penalized for it. And when I was playing ranked, obviously people were going to use the meta guns, and I expected that going into ranked. But in pub matches and search and destroys, everyone was using the same guns because people wanted to win. And there was a rare occasion when people were using shotguns and snipers because it's a one-light game mode. But in Respawn, like Hardpoint and stuff, when you're in that higher skill-based matchmaking bracket, everyone's using the Jackal, everyone's using the aims, everyone's using the MP5 when the Jackal got nerfed. And it wasn't fun. And the gunplay itself was not fun. I mean, I love Treyarch games because they are so fluid, but one of the reasons I fell so in love with MW 2019 was because the guns felt different. They felt like they hit harder, they felt like they had more recoil. There was more to learn about the game. It wasn't just spray and pray, essentially, with the guns inside of Black Ops 6. Anyways, I appreciate you all stopping by and listening and watching. It's been fun to talk, but at the end of the day, Black Ops 6 has been a fun game. It's been a good game, but I think it's time to say goodbye to it. And my hopes for Black Ops 7 aren't high, but who knows what maybe Infinity Ward could do in the next few years. Maybe they can come back. But if that's it, that's it. Call of Duty, thanks for everything you've done.